Guys, how's it going? Welcome back. I got a new keyboard. Yes, if you've been paying attention to my channel, you'll know I had to sacrifice a couple of toys recently in order to fund a new Mac computer. It kind of sucks being a slave to Mac, but you know, you do what you got to do. And being a musician, I prefer the stuff on Mac anyhow, and it's done far cheaper than it would be on a PC for what I do. Anyhow, and yes, I do have both in the house. So this is actually looks just like my last keyboard, doesn't it? Well, it's not though. You read the title? It's a 650. I had a 660 B, which is B for black. They also had it in white. I don't know if they had this in the white, but definitely this is the black. But anyways, there are some similarities between the two keyboards. Of course, this one came out first, and this one does not allow you to program the sustain pedal to become like an on and off switch for your beat, which that's kind of a little disappointing, but not a deal breaker. Okay, that feature was placed into the 660. Also, this, you cannot plug a microphone or a headset into this thing. That is definitely a disappointment, but again, not a deal breaker. That's why I have studio gear in here, and I have a headset that goes into my studio gear, so I can still play my piano, do my singing, record everything onto the computer, cut my tracks, blah blah blah. Okay, so not a big deal. It is nice that it has that feature though on the 660, especially if you're playing live like in a coffee shop. It's less junk you got to carry with you, right? So you don't have to have a separate PA amp and all that, because this thing is pretty loud, and more than loud enough to play in like coffee shop type settings, small venue kind of thing, right, where you don't need an amplifier. Yeah, so you can't do that feature with this one. Now there are a couple of less sounds. This one has like 548 total sounds in it, as far as your sound effects and instruments and all that goes, which is not much different than the other one. Same as your amount of beats and songs, lesson libraries. There's very little difference here, like very, very little difference between this and the 660. So they're that identical. Even the keypad layout up top is identical, other than maybe coloration of some buttons, but otherwise same layout, same features. You have a 6-track recorder in this as well, which is nice, so that's the same. The quality of the sound sample files are the same. Now there is a difference, and that's when it comes to the grand piano and the other pianos where we were able to adjust the lid height on the piano to change the sound. You can't do that on this one. That's kind of like, well, yeah, but you can EQ anything, so it really doesn't make that much difference. And I do have the master EQ set on this for best optimal sound for the piano instruments. And so you can switch it back, and it does make a difference in the sound quality. It's so much richer and more, gets through the mix better, I find, okay, than having it on the default normal setting, which covers all instruments, right? I set this one up specifically to EQ as a live piano, and wow, it's nice. So I am going to do a bit of playing for you guys. This is just a little demo, first impression kind of deal, but my first impressions on this, I gotta tell you, it is really nice. I am happy that I was able to get my hands on this. The price was actually really good for the keyboard. The keyboard always comes with the stand, by the way, with the DGX-650 and the 660. What doesn't come with these normally is there's the pedal board down here below that has your 3 main pedals on it. That does not come with either. That is a separate purchase. And the person who had owned this, that had brought it in, they had the pedal board too, I guess, on this one, because it was there. So I do have the pedal board right away and the keyboard, and it was like 675 Canadian for the works for a pristine machine. Like, even feeling the keys, you can tell wear and tear on keys, and it doesn't feel like this thing has really even been played, or if it was, they were very gentle on it. But you can hammer the snot out of this thing, you know, not a problem. That's easy enough. It will take that kind of punishment. So anyways, let me reset this. I was messing around with it before the video, but hey, when in doubt, just turn it off, turn it back on, right back. Now, because I have this plugged into my sound system, I'm going to go into the function panel, and then I'm going to go through my categories to go to the speaker control, and it says normal. Now that means that you would have sound. But we're not experiencing sound because I'm plugged into the headphone record out jack into my sound system, so we got to go to always on. Now you will have to do this setting every single time you turn the piano back on, because everything just defaults to normal when you turn it off, which is actually quite good. So now we're back onto there, so now I can go to the category because I want to go into the transpose area. Now the transpose goes 12 steps up, 12 steps down. That's identical between the two keyboards as well. And that's where we're going to be done talking about the differences here. If you want to check out the 660 on my channel, it is definitely up there. I've done quite a number of videos with it. Also, you can download the manuals for both of them, compare them side by side. It's a free download from Yamaha for the manuals. You don't actually have to own their equipment to get their manuals, and you can compare that way. So if you are looking for one of these, you may still find some 660s kicking around brand new, if that's the way you would rather go, to have the built-in microphone access and being able to program a sustain pedal for turning your beats on and off, where, you know, but that's only going to be something you're going to want to do if you have the 3-pedal board unit. If you don't have the 3-pedal board unit, you're going to have to use that sustain pedal as a sustain pedal, obviously. And you can program this that sustain is on all the time, but I wouldn't do that because some things just don't sound right that way. But I do like the fact too, with the pedal board too, by the way, it's variable levels on the pedals. Whereas the straight out sustain pedal they give you with the keyboard new, it's either you have sustain or you have none. You can't vary the amount of sustain, where this you can. So there's an obvious difference there. So anyways, let's get on to a little bit of playing, and we'll do a little bit more talking, and then we're done. So this is at transpose 0, so just normal, right? So we'll bring it up, and we can change the key now to A flat for the same thing. Part of a song I wrote, which is kind of a nice tune. But anyways, we'll just keep on having a little bit of fun here. Let's bring that up to transpose 6. All the way to 12. And let's bring it all the way down to minus 12. Sound kind of really different. Okay, so let's exit out of here. Now that's the natural grand piano, right? Back to normal. So we have a live grand as well. Natural, live, same chord, live we get into harpsichord. I personally, when I'm on these things, I'm usually just using the main piano sound. Even though I've got boatloads of extra sounds in here, which are fantastic, I tend to play mainly on the piano thing. So it's kind of like, oh, why didn't I just buy a regular piano thing with a limited amount? Because I like the toys, man. And better to have them and not need them, and need them and not have them. So anyways, when we get into the higher end of things here, 590. Okay, so exit it. So 590. Should be able to go that way. Oh, yeah, 5. Let me just go backwards. 550. 55. 540. Machine gun. Heartbeat's cool. So I'm looking for some specific sounds here that are pretty much all in the same row. I forgot where the sounds were, so I'm just scrolling. There we go. Okay. So stream. Hold down the sustain pedal. Wind. Thunder. So the thunder won't keep going, but when you touch back to the natural grand, so what you do have to watch is how loud you hit those keys when you're going to add those effects in, or you drown out your piano. So, but still a lot of fun, very cool stuff. Another piano I like is called Cool Galaxy. This one's really neat. Anyways, there are way too many fun sounds in this thing, definitely for sure. I will have some further videos, obviously, with this thing where I will do some cover songs, I will do some songs that I've written as well, of course we'll do more of the tour of the main panel to take you through, because there are a few things that are going to operate a little differently. Even though the top panels look exactly the same, there's, of course, features that aren't listed on some of these buttons because they were not available until the 660, okay? And the big thing is that microphone plug-in deal, right? That was accessible through the panel area in here, where I could go in and I could EQ my voice, I could set up effects on it, I could, you know, pump through the amount of volume for the mic I wanted and play it all through the speakers all at once, which was awesome, record it right all on board, boom! Now with this, because you don't have that microphone capability, that part kind of does suck a little, right? But there's always a way around things, and I love using the word but. This thing does have an auxiliary import, okay, which has a volume level input control. And it is an 1/8 inch mini jack. So if you get an 1/8 inch mini jack adapter to go to like a 1/4 inch female, alright, you could actually plug in a microphone to this thing and have your voice through here. There's always a way around stuff when there's the aux imports, okay? I'm going to play around with that to see how much output I can really get through the speakers, and we will do a demo on that if it is worthwhile doing. If it's not worthwhile, well, then you won't see that demo, obviously. We'll talk about it in the review at that point and say either yea or nay. But I have a feeling I'll be able to pull that off, because I'm pretty sure I have the adapter I need around here, and I do have microphone headsets, which is great. Now, I would not be able to EQ the voice, but that's not a deal breaker either. Either way, if you have any kind of home recording gear like I do, it won't matter if you could have your voice through the speakers or not, because you just plug your microphone or headset into your soundboard. That has its own track, and then you put all this in, you record that track to your computer. Now, this does have a 6-track onboard system to it where you can record up to 6 tracks, which is fantastic. It's the same as in the 660. That was not a change between them, right? And this was out before the 660. And they both have these pitch wheel benders, which are kind of a lot of fun to play with in the right circumstances and the right sound. But as far as power output goes, I have not looked in to see if the wattage output is the same, but it does sound like it's going to be the same. Just judging by what I remember of my 660 and how loud it was at the same levels, but I will confer to the manuals and see, okay, well, let's see what the wattage output difference is, if any. And again, we'll talk about that in the review. Other than that, everything's pretty much identical otherwise. Setups are the same, locations, the sounds are pretty much in the same spots. So that's just great. For the amount of sounds that are actually missing from this one compared to the 660, it's only a couple of sounds, literally. Like, the chances that you would need them, probably 0. You will find that most people that buy these kind of types of keyboards, they will be using a lot of what's built in, where a lot of people at the same time, again, will only use a couple of the pianos in this thing, because you're a piano player, right? But it's nice to have different types of piano sounds, like the natural ground, the live pop, and so on. But it's also nice to have access to other instruments, other types of things to be able to do and mix it all together. These are great performing keyboards. They are awesome for beginners, intermediate players, and of course pro players too would enjoy something like this. One thing you'll find is, because of the type of marketing behind the DGX series keyboards like this one and the 660, you don't have a chart up here, nor do you have a chart in the front or along the top edge or along the top here for all the built-in drum kits that are built into this thing. Okay, so you're kind of like guessing. But people that are buying this as an intermediate or above machine are not generally interested in using that stuff anyway. So it's kind of like that's like a, what do they call it, a fart around toy, you know, for just getting rid of some boredom, maybe, you know. So those drum kits, you'll have to figure out where they are on the keys, you know, but not a deal breaker either. You can always make up your own chart down the road. It's kind of up to you. But you will find that Yamaha, when they do something in the more to intermediate to higher end class machines like keyboards, they're not going to put those things on there, because it's kind of a childish thing, I guess, is what I've heard. I would have wished the chart was there, because I like farting around with the on-board drum noises and stuff, you know. Mind you, I do have a drum kit. I can just play my drums, or I can do garage band stuff, whatever. But I kind of like having it on here too. So anyways, it does have the split voicing. It's got the harmony. It's got lesson library in here. It can tell you what chords you are actually playing, which is kind of handy as well. Different memory banks, of course, for storage of stuff. Full music database with a whack load of different music you can play along to as well, which is kind of nice. Very simple and easy to use. Anybody can use one of these things, you know. So if this is like, you know, your first digital keyboard and you're in your 50s like I am, or your 60s, you're going to be very comfortable using one of these things. You know, you'll either use the minimal amount of stuff, or you'll dive right into all the fun stuff. I like the rain, the thunder, I like the helicopter sounds, I like, you know, a lot of other things to add into a song, right, or even just to have fun, period. But I do tend to, and I did on my 660, I spent more time on the live grand piano setting than I did on anything else. Because, you know, to me, like, I've always loved piano. Don't ask why, I don't know, but there's something about the sound of a piano. But it's to get a piano keyboard that has A-weighted keys, full-size keys, that beautiful rich sound of a real sounding piano without having a big, huge acoustic behemoth. Having that sound there and being able to mess with other types of pianos and changing tones as well, that's a benefit to these things as well, you know, in every situation. And I've done a lot of recording with my, you know, you can check my channel on the DGX-650, check any of my piano videos where it's in there. I've had a lot of keyboards, even in the last probably 2 years, other than the DGX-650. And I like to do reviews on keyboards as much as I can for you guys. And I think what's going to start happening in 2021 is I'm going to start renting keyboards just for that specific purpose. Because I only need to own one. But renting multiple different keyboards that I can rent would be great to give you guys, you know, layouts of them. You know, and say, okay, this is good for this, and this is how it sounds, and this is what you're going to get. Kind of thing, because I think a lot of people are after that, because I've seen it on my own videos with people who are searching out stuff like instruments too. Like even, well, I'm not going to go renting piles of guitars, because, you know, even Long McQuaid only has so many left-handed guitars kicking around. But I could actually rent out some right-handed ones. So we'll see what happens in 2021 anyways, because I want to do more and more music stuff on the channel for you guys. And I want to get more and more in depth into the piano, and also get better and better and better and better and better at playing piano as well, so I can really add to my own music stuff. And meanwhile, I'm still playing guitar and teaching myself drums too. So, but anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching. It wasn't going to be a massive video for demo here. This is just a basic demo. I will come up with another type of demo video that's more in depth, where we'll go through a lot of the sounds. We're not going through all 548 sounds, forget it. Just too long of a video for that. And of course I will have a review for you guys of what I really think of this thing in the overall, because even though yes it is so much identical to the 660, it does have some differences, and I do want to see if I can do that workaround with the auxiliary input to get my vocals through the speakers at the same time, because that would be handy if you wanted to record everything just on the keyboard, and if you are happy with your own vocals that way. There's also a way to pre-EQ a mic before you go into the system too, which would help you with EQing your voice first. There's a lot of tricks you can do that I can tell you about. Anyways, in the meantime, I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks. Bye.